Well, if you want to know about the Toyota Rumion, then all you need to do is go to a Maruti Suzuki dealership and check out the Ertiga, because essentially it is the same car. So talking about this video and this car today, it'll be like a refresher course on the Maruti Suzuki Ertiga. The big differences on the outside are this huge grille, that's different, and the bumper of course has been modified, and of course you get a lot of chrome all across it. But apart from that, everything is the same. The side angle is the same, the back angle is the same, and of course the interiors are also very similar. So what are the big changes? Well, you get 3 years, 1 lakh kilometer warranty, unlike the Ertiga, which gets 2 years and 40,000. Apart from that, you also get 3 variants, unlike 4 that you get on that car. But of course, the big plus point, or the big advantage, is that this car is readily available. There is no long waiting period of 6, 8, 9 months like you do get on the Ertiga. So those of course are the key differences. But let me just show you the interiors and tell you what makes the Rumion/Ertiga so good. My name is Ashish Masi. If you come to this channel for the first time, please like, share and subscribe, and also please do follow us on all our social media platforms, which are given in the description box below. Let's get started with the new Rumion. Well, so we talk about the interiors of the Rumion, then there are no big surprises on the interiors. They're just as good or just as similar as the ones on the Ertiga. You of course get a different design over here because the logo is Toyota, not Maruti Suzuki. And of course you also get nice grip over here on top of the steering wheel. The lower part of course has this faux wood, just like you get on the Ertiga. Again, lots of faux wood over here, and the plastic quality, the overall ambience is exactly the same as the Ertiga, no differences. The touchscreen is the 7-inch unit which you have found on the Ertiga for so many years, and the menus and sub-menus, everything works quite okay, but it does now look and feel a little outdated. You of course get automatic climate control on this version, 12-volt charging point, USB, and of course you also get cooled bottle holder over here, and of course you can keep even large 1-liter bottles over here without any problems, and they will remain cold and chilled on that long distance journey. One thing which I really like about the Ertiga, and even on the Rumion, the seat comfort really generally is very good. The base is good, it's good enough for those lanky legs. The overall support for your lower back is good, and of course you also get these side bolsters, which means that on those long journeys you will not be tired inside this car. You of course miss out on wireless charging because that is not here, but you do get automatic headlamps as well as automatic air conditioning and cruise control, which I did mention. So no real big surprises, exactly the same in terms of color, exactly the same in terms of the overall ambience, and exactly the same in terms of the equipment list. I'll give it a decent score of 8 out of 10 for the front of the cabin. Now let's jump in the back seat and see how good that really is. Well, so I'm in the back seat now of the Rumion, and again you can slide these seats forward, and at the back you can also change your backrest angle depending on what kind of mood you're in and who's sitting in the back. And of course if there is somebody, you have to do this and make space for them, or of course you can take it all the way back and just relax like the boss and slide these seats all the way back as well. The big positive is that the windows are really nice and large, very nice and large windows, which gives you a sense of airiness inside the cabin. It really feels like a very bright and airy cabin. And of course this beige also does look very nice and positive and opens up the cabin. The negative point is that the beige is very light, and what that means is that sometimes if you have kids in the car and they just do this after eating food, these seats will soil rather easily, so you'll have a big bill for the dry cleaners on a very regular basis. But that's something you need to take in your stride. Once again, the seats are very good. Squab is wide, and that means that your legs have a nice 90-degree angle with the hip. You can easily get in these seats and slide around because the floorboard is almost flat. And again, you get a 12-volt charging point, and you also get a very nice thing, AC vents, which are roof mounted, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So 2 for the passengers here and 2 for the ones at the back. That really does help in cooling the cabin quite nicely. And before I forget, you also get an armrest, but surprisingly there's no beverage holder over here, so you'll have to keep those beverages in the door pockets, because if you keep them here they'll fall off as soon as you brake. Anyways, nice place to be. I'll give the back seat also a good score of 8 out of 10. Now let's jump in the last row and see how good that really is. Well, so I'm in the last row now of the Romeo, and as you can see, headroom is decent. It's just about sufficient for someone who's my height, which reference is 5'10". So if you have people about 5'8" or 5'9", they might just say, let's jump in the front seats or the middle row seats. But people who are about 5'7" or 5'8" will be decent in terms of the headroom. Knee room is quite adequate if you push this seat in its middle position. If you push it in the middle position. Of course, if you pull it all the way back, then you might also have a limited knee room. But that said, that is the case with most 7-seaters. They do have very limited space in the back seat, but this one is quite good in terms of seat comfort, because as you can see, the scob is both wide as well as nice and cushiony, and of course the back also is quite good in terms of support. You can of course move the back angle a little bit. You can move it up or you can take it back. It depends on who's sitting in the back seat. Overall, if you really want to give it a score, I think if you consider all the external dimensions, the internal dimensions, and of course the space in the front row and the middle row, I think it deserves a respectable score of 8 out of 10, because it is quite decent. And of course, before I forget, you get a couple of beverage holders over here in the corners, and you also get your own 12-volt charging point over here. Now, why do manufacturers give 12-volt charging points at the back? This of course is given so that you can hook up your tire pressure systems or your system that you buy at home. You can hook it up electrically over here and use the battery and fill up your tires in case you're stuck out there on the highway. So full marks to Toyota for offering you this, as well as nice cushioning and overall good support. Now let's check out the boot and then take this car out for a drive. Well, if you see the boot on this car, it is quite decent. You can load in a couple of big bags over here, and of course if you need more space, then all you do is just drop these seats down, and once you drop them down you get a completely flat loading area. You can of course drop the seat down as well, but if you want to use it as a 6-seater, you can do that. If you want to use it as a 5-seater, you can do that by dropping these two down, and of course if you want to use the 7-seater, you can use it by pulling the seat back up. Decent space with all the rows up, and of course good utility, because you can get the benefit of these split seats where you can drop them down. Now the good point is that there's no loading sill, and even though it is slightly higher up from the ground, it's a tall car, so you do get this slightly higher place to keep your bags. It's not really too much compared to some other SUVs, so you don't really have to put in too much of your bag into using a boot. I'll give the boot a very respectable score of 7 out of 10. Could have been better, but even then it's not bad at all. Now let's get to the driving bits of this car. Well, so now I'm driving the Maruti Suzuki Ertiga. Well, no, it's not the Ertiga, it's the Toyota Rumion. But again, mechanically it's the same like the Ertiga, so you get the same 1.5 control, you get the same suspension setup, and of course you get the same kind of tires, so nothing really has changed. Driving height, it'll remind you exactly of the Ertiga. It's a nice and smooth engine. Only when you really rev it hard, when you take it above 4,000 or 4,500 RPM, does it tend to become a little noisy, a little fuzzy. But if you drive it within city limits, if you drive it, around 2,500 RPM, then there are no issues whatsoever with the noise levels. It is a very well isolated cabin. One thing which you'll truly appreciate is the large glass area all across, which makes the cabin feel much more airy and much more brighter than it already is, and also gives you very good visibility. That's something which a lot of people who drive MPVs always complain about and always ask about. How is the visibility? And the visibility on this car generally is very good. Nice and large mirrors, and of course you get a good view from the middle mirror here as well, so visibility is not an issue. Well, the other thing which you'll really like about this car is the overall suspension setup. Yes, the suspension on this car is generally very comfortable, and it doesn't matter what speed you're doing. You might be doing slow speed in the city and negotiating it over those badly made roads or those rubble strips, or you might be doing faster highway speeds. This car soaks into the bumps quite well, and of course you feel very comfortable. At faster speeds, what you really like is the fact that the overall stability is good, and just like the Ertiga, if you take it to about 110, 120, it feels nice and stable. After that, of course, it does tend to feel a little light, but most people don't really take their cars beyond 120 with their family sitting inside it, so no really big issues over there. Steering wheel is nice and light, which means that driving in the city, you will not feel tired, and of course, it's not so light that you start feeling nervous on the highway. But yes, of course, a little more feel would have been welcome for faster speeds, but more or less it is quite okay, and most people will not find any reasons to complain about either a ride in the steering wheel or even with the engine. We're driving the manual version today, and the manual gearbox is a nice and crisp unit, The throws are nice and short. The clutch action is also quite good. It's a light clutch and has a nice and springy action. And it's a 5-speed gearbox. I think it's about time that Maruti introduced a 6-speed unit on this car in the manual form. They do offer you a 6-speed in the automatic because it has that 6-speed torque converter on the XL6 as well. But I think they should offer you a 6-speed manual gearbox as well, because this car is used mostly for heavy use, and I think 5 gears is 1 gear short for heavy use. But if you drive primarily in the city, then this is all the gearing that you will need, and I think it is more than sufficient for most average customers and average buyers who drive this car. What else is there to like? Well, fuel efficiency levels should be quite good, just as they are on the Maruti Suzuki Ertiga. And of course, this 1.5 is a tried and tested unit, so reliability also should be quite okay. And of course, having that extra warranty and of course having Toyota's service backup means that you get better peace of mind factor that you will get if you buy the Maruti Suzuki Ertiga. So all things said, the advantage with the warranty and of course peace of mind is definitely there on this car. Now, are there any reasons to complain? Well, as I said, a little more power, a little more torque would have been welcome. But then again, no car really is perfect, and there's always something or the other that you will desire from every car. But I think for the price, for the segment, and overall for the appeal that this car has to offer for family buyers, I think the Romeon gets most things right and doesn't really have any major areas of weakness that you can think about. Now let me stop the car and get out and give you a summary report. Well, so who is the Toyota Romeon really for? Well, it's a car which is just as good as the Ertiga because it essentially is the Ertiga. But the price that you pay, that little bit extra that you pay, is for Toyota's reliability, that extra warranty, and of course for getting your car before that waiting period of 6 to 7 months, which you do have to wait on the Ertiga. So in the market for a 7-seater MPV and you have a budget of around 12 lakh rupees, 10 lakh rupees, and you want a car immediately, then this is a car you should go for because it's tried and tested, it offers you great ride comfort, it offers you very good interiors, and of course it offers you the peace of mind factor and the warranty that Toyota has to offer. I'll give it a strong score of 90 out of 100.